What is up, Big Ten backers? We are live and we got a baby badger on set, baby. Here we go.
Hey,
Tell us about what's been happening in your life, AJ.
wife gave birth last week. We got a new Big Ten backer in the house. Say hello, Feldman.
Yeah.
Say hello. We got a little
We got
Feldman
one
here.
new one. We might lose another one because there are tornadoes in the area. I'm in the basement. You'll hear the thunder in the background rumbling, but we're ready to go. All right. And we got Vegas Matt in the house. He's going to take a break because we got something big to celebrate. Not just a baby, but this is our 50th show, Big Ten backers. So subscribe. We're growing like crazy. Life is good in the Big Ten backers world. So check us out. Follow us and subscribe. But we got some shit to show you. I mean, what did we do, AJ? A little tour this football season?
Oh man, it was a tour.
Tell me about the tour.
Every weekend on the road to a Big Ten stadium. I can't believe we made it happen. It was an absolute blast. Week one, man. Getting interviews from fans, getting interviews from players. You got to talk about that interview, man. That first player interview. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. And we just kind of stumbled on it, man. We were walking around in Bloomington, what are we going to do? We need to find our sign that we weren't allowed to bring in. So we were looking for stuff we spent money on, and all of a sudden stumbled into Ohio State leaving the stadium. So we were walking around trying to get the family members to join our podcast and stuff, and we're like, Travion Henderson's right over there. Should we interview him? And we're like, yeah, totally. So we went up. He was gracious enough to interview with us. Never had a Buckeye. It was just cool shit, man. So our first weekend was awesome. We danced with the dance team, did a little kick line, so it was pretty sweet. But I got a little video to show you, a little mashup of what we did before we get into the rest of our tour. So everyone, check this out. It's been crazy on Twitter, so if you haven't seen it, get on there and look at it. Check this out.
A bunch of Buckeye nuts. Let's Happy Valley. You never heard of Buckeye? You got 10. Yeah, what a ride,
What was
man.
that like? What was that like? It's going again. Let's just keep it going, man.
Man, how about that game where we went and saw Michigan and Indiana that morning, drove over to watch USC play Notre Dame that night. That was just one day. And then we did the Wisconsin-Purdue and then the Notre Dame-Ohio State game on a Friday and a Saturday.
That was pretty badass. It was a great time. I mean, going to Purdue, you got to check out some of our videos on social media, on Facebook, our Reels particularly. I mean, I was chugging with a college student doing a shotgun, and obviously this 40-year-old couldn't keep up. The dude downed it. I used to be good at that, no longer. I might have got half the beer down, and then I was like, I'm done, man. This is crazy. It was like a warm Busch Light or something. But we had a great time, man. We went all around. I think the best stops, really, for me, were Wisconsin, because I had never been there.
Of course,
and then
of course.
And the jump around was insane. We were with the students in the student section. We had to sneak into the student section to do it. And then at Notre Dame, because how historical that is, I had never been there. And those were the two best stops. I'd follow it closely with Penn State, which you weren't able to be at, but I had a great time. And the Big House was cool. The Big House is always a good time.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, seeing them beat Ohio State, that was...
Yeah, rushing the field after Ohio State lost.
We rushed the field when Notre Dame beat USC, so we had 2 storm fieldings this year. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That first interview out the gates, the Nebraska fan, that was just absolutely hilarious, man. That was that's what I knew, like, this was going to be a fun ride.
For sure. But some other stuff that we got to see, we already really showed you what was happening up in the jump around, but we got to see some other great little traditions in the Big Ten. This is a new tradition, so check this out. We got to watch this. We got to watch the wave, baby. Some good things to see, man. that was awesome. I mean, AJ was the one that got to see that.
Yeah, that was there.
We got to do some interviews in the student section.
Let's see them, man. They're always fun.
Just some cool shit, man. We got to do it at Penn State, so that was a good time too. Always fun, you know. I had a blast. Did you have a blast with all this?
Oh, it was more than a blast, man. I think I had my moments where, you know, the driving and the stress got to me. I think there was a time where we were supposed to be wearing the mask and I threw it in the pond on you. That was kind of a funny moment.
Yeah, the donkey and the Shrek mask. I mean, that's how we started it all off, and you hated wearing those. I mean, it was hot, man.
Yeah, latex, it's like 85 masks. Degrees in a latex mask, and I'm a ginger. Oh. That's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was all great stuff. But, all right. Anything else you want to conclude about that? What did we have? 16 different games we went to?
16 different games. I think we did 1,600 miles in that first round trip, man. It was I got
nuts, to make it out to LA too. I had a plane flight.
Yeah, you made it out to LA. We did.
Got to see USC UCLA game with a crosstown rivalry. It was
because you drove up from awesome. You drove Ohio to Wisconsin. We stopped. Yeah. We drove up to Minnesota for the Minnesota-Nebraska game opening day, and then we drove all the way back down to Bloomington, Indiana.
And then me back home and you back to Wisconsin. That was nuts.
It was a ride, man. What was your favorite game, though?
Favorite game, man. They were all awesome. I mean, I have to go with the Ohio State Notre Dame game.
Yeah, that game was nuts,
as an Ohio State fan, it was a blast. But you know what? Surprisingly, was fun. That Wisconsin-Purdue game was a blast. I mean, we're sitting front row. It was a Friday night. We weren't expecting to go. Last second, we're like, you know what? This is right down the street from where we're heading anyway. We might as well go. I mean, for us, down the street was 3 hours away, you know.
Yeah, and then we got a lot of fan reaction. Colin just talked about it. We got a lot of fan reaction. We got to wear the hardball spy shirts. We were the Michigan film crew, man. We got especially at Wisconsin, man. When we were up on the stadium on Camp Randall, acting like we were filming people as they were walking in, man, the crowd was going crazy.
Yeah, that was huge.
With that.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Filming.
Man, we got so many. The fans were just dying laughing, man. It was a good time.
He better give us some Chargers gear next year. That would be awesome. We probably had at least 1,000 photos with people after that game, during the game and after that game.
Yeah, we were definitely the first ones to get out there and do it. It seemed like as soon as we did it, everybody was like,
"Yep, hey." Yeah. I mean, there was other people doing it not quite as good as us, and there was even a few dudes that did it at the Ohio State game the next week that copied our exact same shirts and made those. So that was pretty sweet when I saw them online. I was like, yeah, that's flattery. But all right, moving on from us. Thank you all for joining and sharing and watching us. We got 43 watchers on here right now taking a look at our show, so that's pretty damn good for a live show. Check out the new baby. It must be the baby.
Must be the baby, huh?
He is bringing in the crew, right?
Yeah, the newest Big Ten backer. Say bye, Philman. Say bye to everybody. We're going to bounce. We got
all right, man. You go get yourself some sleep. Me and Vegas Matt are going to take control of this, all right?
All right, I'll be watching while I'm changing diapers. Y'all enjoy.
For our 50th celebration, bro. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on and giving us a little bit of taste of what life was like last football season. And what we're hopefully doing next football season, my man.
Oh, we are. There's no doubt about it.
We got to get out to some games. This time we're getting credentials, right, dogs? College football dogs are hooking us up. All right. We got to start writing for them, though.
We do.
That's the deal.
All right, fellas.
All right. Peace out, brother. What other big news has been happening? There's been some big-ass drama in college football. What we thought was over, the college football carousel, coaching carousel, it was over, right? Nope.
Everybody
not
wrapped
so
up.
Fast, my friend. We thought it was all done. Everything was dying down. And then Ohio State's running back coach decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to leave. Crazy time, right? He's got probably the best backfield in the country, maybe the best backfield in history of college football. And you know what? He just decided, you know what, since I'm leaving, I might as well go ahead and give Ryan Day a jism sandwich and be like, yo, I'm going up north. And fuck, man, that was a nasty swallow for Ryan Day. And for the fan base, right? I mean, you're a Ohio State fan. How did this taste? Tell me. Did you spit it out?
Indifferent. Man, I'm not one of these. I definitely understand in college football, your assistant coaches are incredibly valuable to a program for recruiting purposes. It's not like the NFL. So that is a factor. He has been around since 2015, second longest tenure coach on the staff, only behind Larry Johnson. And really, I think what's most odd about it is if this move was made last year, I think we all look at it and say, okay, he's moving because of money, but he's also going to a really good team. Clearly, the team won the national title. What I think is so odd about this move is, to your point, they have the two best running backs probably in college football. Well, two of the top five best running backs in college football. So he has an elite running backs room, and this team is head and shoulders above, at least on paper, the way Michigan looks this year. So why you're leaving a team that really is poised for a national championship run to go to a team that's rebuilding, and you're saying it's just for a little bit more money, just doesn't add up, Dave.
Well, I mean, there was a couple things that, what I'm hearing, and maybe other people have heard this already too, because it's a little bit old news, but I mean, he's going to Michigan, first of all, I think, to get back at Ohio State. Second of all, to get a bigger paycheck. He got offered less than he did last year, and he got a 1-year contract is what has been talked about, all right? So a 1-year contract for a guy that's been there 10 years is a slap in the face. I think this was more of an ego thing. Like, I'm going to go check out your rivals, and I'm going to go slap you in the face when I beat you for the 4th time in a row.
Maybe it's also, Day and the coaching staff putting everyone on notice, where they realize that they got to do something this year. And you're also looking at a new AD, new president. Maybe they're saying, listen,
the running back room wasn't a problem. I mean, they have
we don't
NFL
want you locking
players
down
all over the place. What?
They may not want they may have been put on blast and said, we don't want you locking down anybody long term because you ain't may be here long term.
Yeah, but they're locking down other people long term, giving them 3-year contracts. I bet the new coach gets more than 1 year.
Well, the new coach would, but the new coach would want to bring in his own staff, his own people. And the university.
No, I'm talking about the new running back coach.
Yeah.
He's going to get a 3-year contract, and then Tony Alford, who's been there for 10 years, a decade, man. I mean, and people are talking about like he didn't produce enough NFL draft picks, but he had
That's absurd.
A full house. Like he missed on Bijan Robinson, but then he brings in Travion Henderson the very next year, the number 1 running back in the country, and now he brought in Trey Sermon as a transfer. I mean, only has the most rushing yards in Big Ten championship game history.
I mean, when you have a 9-year tenure as a coach, right? Especially as a running backs coach, what you're really saying to yourself is you're probably going to get about 4, maybe 5 guys to the NFL, right? Because the guys are going to play a couple of years. So, that argument doesn't make a lot of sense to me, where you've had a lot of running backs getting into the NFL and producing. So that argument doesn't hold a lot of water to me.
No, but he's had a lot of people there for a lot of time. J.K. Dobbins was there for 3 years, and
NFL player, high caliber. He's been
and Henderson's been there for 3 years, going on 4 now. So
I mean, you can make
6 of those years right there, and then you had Zeke for 2.
Yep. And Trey Sermon,
7, 8.
Trey Sermon was a 3rd-round draft pick.
He transferred in, yeah. So I mean, everything has been awesome, actually. Great.
Yeah.
You want NFL players, NFL running backs, right? And it's not going to be a huge loss only because running back coach isn't the most important coach. It's probably the easiest coach that there is. I mean, you tell people run, hit the holes, open your eyes, be quick, block good. I mean, you don't have to teach a whole lot. You teach 1 or 2 guys at a time. It's not like you have to teach the entire backfield or anyone to be cohesive on the offensive or defensive line.
Yeah, but it's recruiting though too. I mean, that's a big play in all of this.
Yes. And Tony Alford could have gone anywhere he wanted to. Anywhere with what he's produced at Ohio State, but he chose to go up north and slap it in Ryan Day's face. He did.
Yeah, but it's also the timing. If this decision was made January 15th, it's a little odd as you're getting all these coaching staffs coming together. This was made on March 12th. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah,
So
and who are they going to replace him with? Now they got to pull someone off of someone else's coaching staff. I believe it's Ohio State, so that's going to be easy, but they got to do it. Anyway, we got to get to a commercial, man, pretty soon. So give me your last thoughts on Tony Alford. Let's get to commercial, and then we'll be back talking about other people who have transferred from major rivalries going to the opponent, man. Crazy. There's some relatively recent ones too, man.
Yeah. I mean, just final thoughts. I think there's more to this story than what we're reading.
Yeah.
Want to hear the full story.
All right. Well, it's going to start getting hot out. The months are picking up with that heat. We got a higher than average March so far here in Ohio. So go get yourself an Icy Breeze.
Icy Breeze is the world's first portable air conditioner and cooler. A premium ice cooler that doubles as an eco-friendly portable air conditioner. This is not a swamp cooler just blowing air across ice. Over 60 parts and components allow Icy Breeze to achieve what no other product in the world can do. The secret behind the Icy Breeze is an innovative design that circulates chilled ice water through a heat exchanger in the lid, replacing the Freon used in most ACs. Fresh air is drawn from hidden vents in the top of the cooler, pulled across the exchanger, and chilled down to 35 degrees cooler than the outside air. A 3-speed fan control delivers Icy Breeze's dry, cold air up to 25 miles per hour, just like a car AC. And a stay-put flex hose directs the breeze in any direction. Wherever you need it, Icy Breeze helps you beat the heat.
Who is the dude that did it before, man? Who started all this madness going from a rival? None other than Bo Schembechler, man. That motherfucker. I would have been pissed if I was Woody, man. He started the 10-year war with him. He was an assistant coach with him. Woody was his head coach, and he pulls a stunt like that and just kicks Woody in the balls by going to the rival and beats him the first year. Beats him. A 7-2 Michigan team that was probably Woody's best team ever in 1969. Damn, man. This guy, he just pisses me off just looking at him. But I like those aviators, by the way.
Yeah. Get him off. Get him off the screen.
Get him off. I'm going to puke.
Nobody wants
Get
to
this
see
guy
him.
off there. But hey, man, he goes up there, starts a 10-year war, goes 5-4 with one tie against Ohio State. And I mean, he runs the show. The team. Never wins a national title, but 13 Big Ten titles. He was 194-48 with 5 ties. I mean, the man was successful. And that's what I want to talk to you about. All these people who have transferred from one side of the rivalry to the other, most of them have been successful, right?
Yeah. But I think it's also when you can make this kind of transfer, you need to have a pretty good prestige. You need to be pretty talented. You know, nobody's going to remember the third string fullback that does this. So I think you need to have a lot of clout in order to be able to do this. But you're right. You've seen a lot.
Or the offensive guard. Who did it, man? And he had 3 brothers. They all 3 came to Ohio State after that. His dad was I believe, a defensive lineman at Michigan. I can't recall exactly, but man, his dad had to be pissed that he changed up the rivalry. They lived in Columbus at the time, so I mean, they became Ohio State boys, man.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know how that went over the first time around, but we're very thankful to have the Boren boys. So,
oh, for sure. Absolutely. They were great players.
Absolutely.
I mean, just a football family. But not too long ago in the distant past, Ryan Day was on the staff and Urban Meyer was head coach. And they brought in, boom, Greg Madison. Hey, he said, hey, man, you want to come over and win? Come on over and bring that Washington cat too, man. Bring him on. We got Al Washington, the linebacker coach and the defensive coordinator for Michigan for that 2019 team that just barely lost to Clemson in a bullshit play, man. They should have won that game. They were the better team, and I don't know, maybe they would have matched up well against LSU in that title game, but I would have loved to have seen it, man. It would have been worth one more game to watch that team.
Like targeting call?
The fumble. I mean, the targeting call, I get it. There's been a lot of terrible targeting calls. I get it. I mean,
worst rule in college football, man.
It is. It's a terrible rule, and it screwed Ohio State. But, I mean, it was a rule. It was a rule. But the overturned fumble that was returned for a touchdown, that is just mind-blowingly stupid till this day. I mean, I feel like a Miami fan arguing about it, but it was. I mean, he took 4 steps
First off, Miami fans, it was PI. Second off, when you're getting in the red zone and you're kicking field goals against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, you dig your own
that
grave.
was 3 of them. Yeah. I mean, they could have easily put that game away. But
it was 16-0, man, with 3 field goals. They weren't executing in the red zone. But
at halftime, 16-0. I mean, all right, so we have that. All right, what else, man? Lately, we've had a few big ones, man. Ba-boom.
Yeah,
Jabbar Muhammad. All right. The dude is going from Washington, was in the championship game, going to Oregon. Gonna be a Duck, man. I don't know how that feels because I don't know much about that rivalry, but you're living out there in Seattle. You know that West Coast shit. Tell me about it, bro.
Yeah, it ain't gonna sit well. Washington, people will tell you Washington State's a rival. It's really not. When the Washington-Oregon game comes about, Oregon hates Washington, vice versa, right back at them. This is a lockdown first-round talent in Muhammad.
Yeah.
He'd be a first-round talent this year, and he's going to wait.
Second team all-pack done, 16 pass breakups on the year. He had 3 in the first game against Oregon.
Yeah.
Stud player. And there wasn't too many on that Washington defense, and Oregon got one of them.
Yep. Yeah. Huge
Crazy,
win.
Man.
Huge win for Oregon. Dan Lanning is really running things out west here so far, and it's going to be a big win. And it doesn't sit well with the Huskies, but I think they're just reeling right now with all the losses, obviously Coach DeBoer and all the transfers and everything, that I think this was just another log on the fire to them.
Yeah, payback there, Jeremy. Yeah, payback for we talked about it.
Yeah.
Madison and Al Washington. It is a little bit of payback, and us Buckeyes are pissed off, man.
Yeah.
Right?
We are.
All right, the Big Ten boys are here. We got Dominique in here. What's up, man? Go check out his show if you like the Sun Belt, man. He's got all kinds of good stuff going for the Sun Belt. Basketball, football, and just, man, they're good. They got players on the show, everything.
Sun Belt is fun football to watch, man. Everybody.
Especially when they're beating
aside, there's some really fun games in the Sun Belt.
Especially when they got that App State game going. I got an App State t-shirt, by the way. Washington will go back to just barely being ranked.
I really don't think so. The cupboard's
there. Is good. That coach is good. He'll bring it back. I mean, he did it in Arizona. Got to give him credit. He might not be there long because he's never been anywhere longer than like 2 years. 3 years, I think, at Arizona was the most he's been somewhere.
Yeah, but if you look at the last 10 years with the Washington Huskies, they've had 2 really good teams that have made the playoffs. But you look at Coach Peterson. Coach Peterson was amazing. Look what he did at Boise State. He recruited extremely well in the state, put a fence around it. Oregon was a little bit sluggish. Coach DeBoer caught lightning in a bottle with Michael Penix. So let's just call it for what it was. You got Odunze, which was a 3-star pick, and he turned into a stud. It happens all the time in college football. But you caught lightning in a bottle with Penix. You had Odunze. You put together a really good run. And that was your shot. They don't have it. They're going to be coming to the Big Ten. I think that travel is going to hit them. I think recruiting's a big issue at Washington. You're really looking at maybe a 7-5 team with some residual talent still there, but I see a really dark path the next 3 to 5 years unless they can turn their recruiting around.
That coach did it. He did it in Arizona without recruiting. I mean, you can't
recruit
real well to Arizona.
You go look at Arizona in 2019, 2021. They were one of the worst teams in the FBS. They were a train wreck. They had 0 talent there.
Absolutely.
So it is a valid point. He did turn that around to a very respectable program. Recruiting stuff, though, in Washington. There's not a lot of high school talent up here, and what little there is, Ohio State snags. So it's a tough place to recruit.
Yeah, Seattle's a big enough town, and you can get all those people from California. I mean, if Oregon can do it, Washington can do it. You just got to have the right guy, right? DeBoer did it. He got him there.
Yeah, you don't have
with the transfer portal, you just got to hit up on the transfer portal next year and then build a class. But we got another big one. New Big Ten members again, man. They're hitting it out west, man. They're competing. They're ready to join the Big Ten. So we got the defensive coordinator from UCLA going to USC, man. All right. You got a snapshot of him. Let's get him up there again. Lynn, defensive coordinator, DeAntone Lynn. Wow, man. They were 102 in total defense before he got there. Last year, he got them to 11th in total defense.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Well, it was topsy-turvy.
And he was making over $1 million as his defensive coordinator. Over $1 million. And USC's like, we need him. Riley, I was there for that game. I mean, his defense destroyed Riley. They destroyed Caleb Williams. Their lowest offensive scoring of the year, I believe it was 20 points, right? 38-20.
Yep.
That was the offense of the year. I mean, USC, the only reason they were in any game is because of their offense, because they sure as shit didn't have a defense.
No, they didn't. And you look at a Chip Kelly coach team, and you're saying to yourself, oh, okay, it's offensive juggernaut. The defense. We all talked about it at UCLA this entire year. Their defense was stout. Their offense couldn't do a darn thing. So really smart hire by Lincoln Riley. But again, Lincoln Riley's track record is he can't play defense. And it's fun to watch in a regular season, and it gets you a 4 seed or a 3 seed in the playoffs. But when you go up against Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, you got to play both sides of the ball. And until Lincoln Riley can prove that he can build a competent defense, which he could not in Oklahoma, and he has not at USC, I just don't buy Lincoln Riley at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the defensive coordinator. That's what he needed. So
big stuff.
I'm interested to see after this year. I think USC will be able to bring it. They have Miller time. I'm looking forward to seeing him again, baby. Especially with Bud Light having an issue. Let's make it Miller time, baby. And speaking of that, we talked about a little bit about the Sun Belt, talking about their basketball. They talk about baseball. We need to get into a little round ball, man. It's tournament time. It is March Madness, baby. It is the 14th of March. We got to get in on this shit. So tell me what you got about this tournament going on. Big Ten tournament, huh?
Absolutely.
You got any odds for us? You are the Vegas man.
So I do. Obviously, the only reason I watch college basketball is because of the gambling. At least college football, I enjoy this sport. Basketball, it's straight up. What odds are you going to give me here? So
I just don't like it until it gets to tournament time anyway, man, because it just gets juiced up and it's ready to go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's and we got to talk about that later with the playoffs, man. They keep expanding the playoffs before they even try out the new version. We'll get into that. I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah,
tell me about this basketball tournament. Let's go.
Yeah, so you have the action that's already happened today. You had Michigan State beating Minnesota, 8-9 game. You had Wisconsin just raining threes from every which angle, pounding Maryland, the 5 seed there. They move on. Ohio State. I'm not just saying this because I wear the Buckeye cap. They are 6-1 under Coach Diebler. They are red hot. Won by 12 against Iowa, and right now we have about 9 minutes left. Indiana, Penn State are tied at 47. Well,
really?
So that one's going really good. So now you're starting to get into the final 8 teams in the Big Ten tourney. Starting tomorrow, you got Michigan State taking on Purdue. And Michigan State, when you're looking at their record, they're 19-13. They won today, so they're 20-13. You look at that record, usually 13 losses doesn't even allow you to sniff the NCAA tournament. You got the people who do these projections having them as a 7 seed. So they're taking Michigan State pretty seriously with their tough schedule overall. Purdue, obviously one of the best teams in the country. I mean, they may get the one overall seed, especially if they win. But I think Michigan State's scrappy. Right now you have a -6.5 on that line. I think you've got Michigan State already played yesterday, got a little momentum. Purdue's been waiting around for a little bit. I think Purdue does win outright, but if I see that line get any higher than 6.5 and I start seeing those sharps of that money maybe get that a little bit higher, I might take it. Just because I like to see teams that have momentum. And that's a big thing you're going to start seeing when we're talking conference tourney time. What team's playing hot, what team has the momentum, and a great segue into that is when you're talking about Ohio State again. Ohio State 19-12.
Playing hot, man. Woo.
Playing red hot. And the most important
6-1. And beating Michigan State, beating Purdue, the number one, going to be a number 1 seed in the tournament too.
Yeah, not just winning,
they're
dominating. I know Michigan was the worst team in the Big Ten basketball-wise this year. You won that game by 24. You go to Rutgers on Sunday, and you dominate that game. So you're not just winning these by 2-3 points. You're winning by big double-digit ones. Scuffled a little bit in that Minnesota game. But that's where if you're also looking, too, at tourney betting odds, I like to find a little bit of value. So you're looking at Purdue – plus 100. There's no value there. Illinois plus 310. They're the 2 seed. No value there. 2 teams I really like is plus
Purdue
4.
for the win, says Andrew Anderson.
Yeah, they're a very dominant team, and we're going to talk about this next week. We all know what happened last year. 1 seed paying Fairleigh Dickinson. No reason they should have been close in that game and they lost.
Never heard of them.
Dickinson. Yeah. I mean, the team didn't have anybody over 6A, and half of Purdue is well above that, and they couldn't win that game. It just blows the mind. But
Fairleigh Dickinson, their athletic department and their enrollment just went nuts after 1 year of winning some basketball
absolutely
tournaments, winning some games in the basketball tournament.
Yeah, there was numbers about 400 or 500% increase in revenue, and just the team store enrollment applications were up over 200%. I mean, it's awesome to see these little schools, but I say that in the same point as you go back to 2021, I had to watch Oral Roberts beat Ohio State, so it's not fun being on the other side of that equation. But when you don't have a dog in the fight, it's pretty fun to watch. But if you're looking again for that sheer value, and these are as of today, right? So, starting tomorrow, these lines could change. I like Michigan State to win the Big Ten tourney at plus 1,400. I think there's some value there. Always I'm going to like Tom Izzo. And again, trying not to wear the Buckeye hat, but you got Ohio State plus 3,000. This is a hot team. So kind of take that record, throw it out. You had a good recruiting class. You've got a coach that says, I have absolutely nothing to lose here. I don't know if I'm going to get a contract. Let's have fun. So those are two value picks I see there. Kind of circling back to the games tomorrow, we got Wisconsin versus Northwestern. Northwestern's at 4 seed, got the double bye. Very impressive. Wisconsin, though, at the 5 seed is minus 3.5. And I had the ability to watch this game today. Their offense was just clicking on all cylinders. I think.
Oh my God! 16 total 3-pointers, 10 in the first half. They had a freshman, John Blackwell, 18 points for Whiskey.
Yeah.
Damn. And it was 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. They were just draining everything, dude. It was awesome.
They really were.
That they put on. I mean, again, they're just lighting it up at the right time. They're kind of like Ohio State. I mean, just torching it.
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about this time of year. You're talking about what team is hot, what team plays well on a neutral site. That is going to be a big theme in our conversation next week when we're talking tourney time. These are all neutral site games from this point forward. So what team can play well in that kind of atmosphere? And Wisconsin came out guns a-blazing against a Maryland team that won against Rutgers the night before. So that 3.5 is interesting. Again, I don't really like that hook a ton. If I get that down to 3, I'd probably be looking Badgers. Also, the third game tomorrow is Ohio State versus number 2 Illinois.
That's going to be a tough one.
I have scoured the books. I have not seen a line as of this moment officially set for that. But Ohio State fans, you're asking yourself, okay, what do you need to do to get into the tournament? Because right now
this is the win. This is it, right? This game?
No, this isn't it. This is going to get you a long way. This is going to be that quad 1 win. I'll put you 4-6 in the quad 1. That's very respectable. But I actually don't even think this is it. I think you got to root for Nebraska to beat the winner of Penn State, Indiana, and that'll get you another quad 1 win. I think you got to go all the way to Sunday, Ohio State, and maybe you just got to get the.
Man, they got 2 wins in this tournament. If they beat Illinois, they're in.
I don't know, man. That 12 losses, it's tough. Again,
that's 20 wins. That's 20 wins. You got 1 against Illinois, you got 1 against Michigan State, and you got 1 against number 1 seed in Purdue. And you're 7-1 or 7-2. You would be to close out the season. That's a hot team. Deserves to be in.
Yeah, you've had some bad losses.
Opinion, they're in.
You've had some bad losses this year.
But they had a change in coach, and they're hot, man.
That's
play the hot hand.
That's the real key here is you very rarely see coaching changes in the middle of the season in college sports. You see it all the time.
How does that factor in?
Yeah, I think if Ohio State beats Illinois, very little. If Ohio State beats Illinois, let's say they lose close to Nebraska, right? So my doomsday scenario, if you see them get in as the last 4 in, what you're really seeing is the committee valuing that progression. And
they get in the last 4 in, they play in Dayton.
Yes, they do on Tuesday night.
So that's a moneymaker too. So that they'll pack that stadium. Money talks, man. Money talks.
It does, but you have to have
gets packed anyway, though.
Yeah, you have to have a justification though, and possibly. I know Indiana State lost their tournament. They may be one of those teams on the bubble, so to speak. So you look at like an Indiana State, Ohio State, 68 matchup. That would pack the roof at Dayton.
So what's the best payout to win the Big Ten tournament if they win it and realistically have a shot at winning? Is it Ohio State?
Yeah, Ohio State's plus 3,000. You got Indiana plus 4,000. Again, that game's going on right now. It's pretty tight because you got Penn State at plus 11,000. I don't think that's realistic. That's why I like Ohio State, again, only because you're talking about a very hot team with a coach that has nothing to lose, and I like that plus 3,000. I like Michigan State just because I love Tom Izzo. I think the guy can always bring it together in March, so I like that pedigree. Already has a solid win there, so if you're looking for that value, it's plus 400. But then you can also look at Wisconsin plus 1,200. Again, we just got talking about how hot they are, so you kind of want to hedge your bet.
And they had a lot of guys out injured all year too, and now they're back. So getting hot, getting guys back from injury, that helps out a lot. And I believe that they do take injury into account in the tournament as well.
So injury is something they take into account. However, the player must be back and looking.
And they're back. They're ready to roll.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's
a little bit
doing
different
good.
than the CFP. Yeah.
You got it. It's getting hot, man. It is getting hot in here. It's time for some Dano's seasoning, baby. Let's pay the bills and let's get spicy.
Yum, yum, get you some. Very good. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
Dano Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe, we
Hey.
all know you're the best.
What?
But you can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
We're back and we're hot, man. You better get your Dano's seasoning. Dano, dude, if you're listening, you need to send us some of this seasoning. We'll be out at tailgates. We can just pepper that shit on and be like, yo, dude, you like it? Get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. All right, we got to get into it. The best draft picks from the Big Ten. You want to start with the obvious, get those out of the way?
Yeah.
We've talked about them before. We talked about them last week. USC, Caleb Williams, he's going number one, right?
Without question.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No, it doesn't matter if it's the Bears picking or they trade it for a king's ransom. He is number one.
Someone's going to take it. Who you got going number two? From the Big Ten.
From the Big Ten, I would say
All right.
Marvin Pearson. It's probably
You're not getting JJ up there? You're not moving JJ up?
We got to go a few names down before we're going to get to JJ McCarthy, my friend. As we kind of looking at the top 15,
man, that
top
heat's
20
coming.
best players.
Where are the Giants picking, man? The Giants are
Giants
taking.
are 6.
That's what everyone's saying. Giants 6. So he's going up to 6. I mean, last week they were saying like he might be in the 13, 11 range. Now he's all the way up to 6, man. 6.
I just don't. Possibly, and if you really look at free agency, because the legal tampering started on Monday, and then free agency officially opened up yesterday. You saw the backup quarterbacks, right? Jacoby Brissett go to New England. You saw Joe Flacco go to the Colts. You saw Jameis Winston go to the Browns. So you're seeing these teams picking, but it's funny. There are teams that aren't doing anything. Minnesota, they lost Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. Didn't pick up a quarterback at all. New York Giants didn't pick up a quarterback at all. I mean, so
yeah, but I mean, aren't most of these guys aren't going to start year one, are they?
Absolutely, they will. They absolutely will. In today's NFL,
I always liked, having them as a backup, man. That first year, sitting behind us, just a veteran.
Yeah, but you're looking at these
Times have changed.
You're looking at these general managers, right? If you're getting a quarterback pretty high in the first round, it's pretty safe to assume you had a pretty bad year the previous year. You're on a tight leash, and you got to
throw that dude into the fire, man. Let him burn. Let him burn. Pull a.
You have to, as long as you see some of that potential, right? You saw Anthony.
They're going to do the
Richardson
same thing, though. I mean, the Bears are going to do the same thing. Just light them on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. I mean, look at Bryce Young this year in Carolina. He looked completely overwhelmed, had no receivers, had no running back, had no line. He was running for his life. He looked like a terrible pick. And then you see the number 2 pick in C.J. Stroud win, NFL Rookie of the Year, or Offensive Rookie of the Year, I should say, absolutely lighting it up. So, I mean,
Yeah.
those were both bad teams last year. What are you making of that?
Yeah, they had a little bit better protection. I mean, he had time to throw at least.
He
He had
did.
some
He had a good-
receivers to throw to too. I
Yeah.
mean, but the Bears have just been, the last 10, 20 years have been historically bad.
I mean, but if you really see them towards the tail end, they were an improving football team. They were actually in the hunt for the playoffs towards the end there. Justin Fields hasn't had a heck of a lot around him, and he's made up the most of it. Offensive line is okay. It's not atrocious, but it's not great. Okay weapons around him, but nothing great. No true number one wide receiver and all this stuff. I think he's gotten a bum rap there, to be honest with you. And I think if he has the ability,
I'm ready for him to get out and get somewhere else. Let's see what he can do.
I mean, it probably won't happen because of the division, but I see Justin Fields going to somewhere like Minnesota. You give me Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and you put a competent running back behind them. They still haven't signed one. I think you'd see a whole different Justin Fields.
For sure. All right, let's get on to the next ones. We're getting way in a rabbit hole. We got to get down. Who's number 2? Who's being taken number 2?
Yeah, Marvin Harrison's going to be the second Big Ten player off the board, probably 4 or 5 at the most.
And we all know that. Who's number 3? What we got after that?
Rome
These ones are
Odunze.
all kind of set in stone, right?
Yeah, we talked about the big ones last week. Again, Rome Odunze, I see him going to the Chargers in all probability at 5. Worst case scenario, he'll probably fall to 9 to Chicago. But you're seeing him in the top 10 pick, third best player in the Big Ten.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then this is where, there may be a little bit of who knows who's going to go where, but who you got next? Who got four?
Olu Fashanu, tackle out of Penn State, really good. Is kind of competing with Latham as probably being the best tackle, or Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. 3 best tackles. It's kind of interchangeable there. But tackle help is essential for these teams, especially a team like Tennessee. They just went out and signed Calvin Ridley. They got Treylon Burks. They got DeAndre Hopkins. So now you got to shore up that offensive line. So I really could see him falling to Tennessee.
The Big Ten offensive lineman of the year going to Tennessee, baby.
Fantastic, yeah.
Oh, 6'6" of them, 321 pounds.
Oh,
all right.
Great.
What's next on the list?
Yeah, and then Troy Fontenot, the athletic freak we talked about last week, offensive guard. And again, I'm looking at best players. I'm not really going straight up like where I think they're going to fall in the draft. That could be a different order here. But if you're asking
things change around and people trade.
Yeah, you're asking me
who's
5
the
years
best available.
I'm looking at this list 5 years from now, and I'm looking at who's still in the NFL playing at a high level, getting a second contract, and who's out washing cars. I think Troy Fontenot is going to be probably one of those 10, 12-year stalwarts at left guard. He's phenomenal.
Man, I think I could put Chomp Robinson up above those two. Especially a guard. I
see that. And you're going to see this as we talk a little bit later. Everything in the NFL draft is about where you go in system fit. And it goes beyond the quarterback. But I look at somebody like Chop Robinson, and let's just say he has a fall, right? But he falls down to like San Francisco. I mean, come on, man. He is going to thrive in that San Francisco defense. Did they just
got Keenan Allen?
Did they just do that? Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. Very, very reliable wide receiver. Underrated because he gets injured a lot, but incredibly reliable. Big pickup for the Bears.
Troy, we talking Wazoo yet? No one's talking Wazoo, man. They're relegated. I mean, I feel bad for them, but man, what are they going to do next year? I mean,
you want to talk a little Wazoo? I'll give you some inside baseball. I'm hearing rumblings. Their basketball coach, who they're going to go to the attorney, Jonathan Smith, in the running for the Ohio State job.
What?
He's taking the Cougars. They're going to be they're attorney bound. They have a really good team this year. Really good coach, really good guy.
So obviously, you're saying the Cougars are going to get some nut?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, their AD, Pat Chung, Ohio State graduate as well, born and raised in Ohio. So a lot of Wazoo, Ohio connections.
All right. Man, we got all kinds of comments I didn't hit up. All right. Couple more. Oh, Chomp.
Right. Yeah. So that's another thing with the Chargers. They cut Mike Williams great wide receiver from Clemson, big salary cap casualty. You're telling me now I don't have ESPN up, but Keenan Allen's going to the Bears. You're missing a lot of wide receivers there. You have Joshua Palmer. You got a couple other options. But I really see now that number 5 pick, you're probably seeing a Dunze or Neighbors, but I would take a Dunze.
And Wazoo wants in the Big Ten so bad.
They
I mean,
they would do it in a heartbeat.
For sure. Why wouldn't they? And Oregon State, too.
It's probably Mountain West bound. It's Mountain West bound, to be honest with you.
It is. It sucks, but it is. Truth hurts. All right, where are we at here? We're losing we got to get back into this. Who's next?
So we went Chop Robinson at 6, and then you got Latu. I'm going to butcher it. Latu.
The Sack King.
Yeah, from
Polynesian
UCLA. And again, I look at this system fit. I don't see Chop Robinson or Latu being top 10 picks or top 15, but you see that 15 to 32, they could be falling. And again, once you start getting 15 and beyond, you're talking fringe playoff team, Super Bowl contender. I think those two, if they land 15 to 32, land in a good system, really see them excelling. So that's who I have at number 7. Well,
Andrew, what is wrong with you? You don't want any Beaver? Come on, man.
Good programs, man. Good programs. Just got a bum rap because where they're located. But
all right.
Yeah, we got number 8
on that list.
Yeah, so number 8, you're looking at Cooper DeJean, cornerback at Iowa. You're seeing a lot of first-round grades there. Everybody loves
White Lightning.
Yeah, phenomenal quarterback.
6'1".
I know he's.
I mean, he is just breaking records, man. I mean, white guys aren't supposed to run that fast, right? They aren't supposed to be that good.
Nope. But
here we go. Mountain West needs to bring in the old guard and the pack teams. And I like how the conference looks, especially when they get Gonzaga in basketball.
I think so too. Yeah.
I don't think that there's another place. There's just not. Unless for some reason the Big 12 pulls them in. I don't know. Or the ACC is like, hey, we got 2 out west. Let's take another 2.
Yeah, but if I'm sitting with Washington State or Oregon State and I'm saying to myself, whether you're looking at the 12-team playoff or the 14-team playoff, you're going to have the best group of 5 team get an automatic bid. So I actually may hold tight a little bit. Maybe look at that Mountain West. You're not getting that revenue up front, so to speak, on that TV deal. But if you have a legitimate shot at being an 11-1 team or 12-1 team, let's say you win the Mountain West Conference and you get that group of large bid, that large bid, it's a big deal.
We're not talking J.J. McCarthy yet.
We are not talking J.J. McCarthy yet. Man. It's going to be a theme here. So number 9, I got Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle, Illinois. This is a consistent player. You plug him in on a good offensive line, you can see a 10-year vet here. So really like him at 9. At number 10, I got Jackson Powers Johnson, the offensive guard from Oregon. Again, precipitous rise. Offensive guards, you get the right one, you put them in the right system, they can play for a long time. So that's number 10. And then
what about Bo Nix? What you got on Bo Nix?
I was going to get the number 11 with McCarthy, but do you want me to spoil the tail end?
You're killing it, man. Bo Nix, hey, we saw him throw him on Twitter. I mean, that pro day that they had up in Oregon, he was making receivers wait for balls way down the field. And people were like cheering it on. I was like, I like Bo Nix. I want him to do well, but I just don't think he's going to go that high. He's kind of a system quarterback, right?
Absolutely.
Is JJ better? I see JJ throwing better balls. I think I kind of see why he rose up, but throwing a ball not in game time scenario, any quarterback can look good.
Agreed. And that's why they don't throw at the combine. You're really not getting a whole lot. That's why the pro day is more important for the quarterbacks. It's their receivers, routine, routes, rhythm. They like that. I have JJ McCarthy at 11. And again, I have JJ
you got I don't even, it's just funny just to read that.
I don't know if you can get fired before you coach one game, but that would probably
that's a good way to try.
That's a good way to try. I mean, Herbert's a legit NFL quarterback, no debate.
Jim Harbaugh is not trading Herbert and bringing in JJ. Just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody like the Giants wants to give him, 3 number 1 picks and a king's ransom, but no, I don't see it. And that's why I have McCarthy at 11. Again, if I'm looking at just straight up, who do I think is going to produce in the NFL? I look at JJ McCarthy and I say that's a pure system quarterback. And
He
and
did
you know
say
what?
he wouldn't be surprised if JJ was the number one. But why wouldn't he say that? He was just his coach, man. He's not going to be like, yo, JJ should be last.
Yeah. No, he's not. I mean,
they have that connection. He wants to sell them. I mean, it makes him look good if JJ does good. And they're boys, They just won a national title together. They have that bond that's going to last a lifetime. So he's not going to trash JJ. That's for damn sure.
And you had
Especially when
Dabo.
he's already got his boy.
Yeah, you had Dabo back in the day. I remember when Deshaun Watson was coming out telling everybody he's the next Michael Jordan and you're going to regret not drafting him. I mean, that's just good. That's just good college coaching, right? You want to cheer up your guys. You want them going. But that's where, again, with McCarthy, if you do see the Giants take a swing on him at 6, guess what? I think McCarthy's going to fail in the NFL. And that's not an indictment on J.J. McCarthy. It's an indictment on a bad Giants offense and a bad system. But if you get J.J. McCarthy, let's say he – I don't know, like, again, goes to somewhere like New Orleans possibly, or maybe slips a little bit further down in the draft, gets in a good team, good system, fits him. We're seeing what happened with Brock Purdy, right? The guy was the last pick in the draft, and he took his team to the Super Bowl. It's a system fit. So I have McCarthy at 11 just because I don't know if he's going to be great or not. It's going to depend on where he's drafted. Since you mentioned Bo Nix, I'm going to tell you right now, I have him as the 20th best player in the Big Ten. And
Oh, man. All those Ducks are going to be pissed at you, brother.
What has Bo Nix accomplished besides statistics? Like, the guy hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. He didn't do it in Auburn, didn't do it in Oregon, and winning a Fiesta Bowl doesn't really excite me. I'm not going to lie. When you beat Liberty, I watch a guy play. He makes some good throws. He does have that downfield, that 15, 20-yard out route, big important throw in the NFL. Guy just hasn't done it. And again, I look at Bo Nix and I say that is a pure system quarterback. If the stars align and everything works out great, maybe he has a decent NFL career. But, maybe 6th, 7th best quarterback in the draft. Honestly, I would take a flyer on Penix in the second round beforehand. Penix throws a good ball. Fundamentally sound, has won. The only thing that scares me about Penix is the injury history. I would not be putting a first-round grade on him solely because of that injury history. But you can make the argument, let's say Penix was healthy his entire career, he might be second, third quarterback off the board, but he'll go in the second round because of health.
All right, man. This guy's making me laugh, cracking me up. If Sean Payton can turn Drew into a legendary quarterback, he can turn blank into a solid starter in Denver. First of all, you're talking about a Drew that was a stud.
Yeah,
he didn't turn Drew into nothing.
Yeah.
Drew turned himself into a
Drew Brees
stud
had a pretty
and
good collegiate career at Purdue. I mean, let's not forget that.
And not like that, he had a good high school career. I believe he was from Lake Travis.
I don't know about Denver. They did trade Jerry Jeudy this week to the Cleveland Browns, so they still have Cortland Sutton.
He couldn't do it with Wilson.
Well, Wilson's lost a step. Seattle timed that trade beautifully. Honestly, and it's tough at 12.
Go to the Broncos.
Yeah, it's tough at 12, right? I don't really know if McCarthy's the answer at 12. I certainly don't think Bo Nix is the answer at 12. I don't see those.
Drew was a solid Matt Ryan before Peyton.
Drew Brees is Hall of Fame caliber. It's hard for me to knock them, but
Drew made Purdue into one of the best teams that they've had in decades. I mean, Joe Tiller, did he make Drew Brees into Drew Brees? I don't know.
He had Orton that followed afterwards. He was pretty solid collegiate quarterback. I'll give you that.
I knocked him out at a passing camp, and I got him.
But let me ask you this, Beef. You got the top 3. You've got Drake May, you've got Caleb Williams, and you got Jaden Daniels. Those are going to be top 3 picks. There's no debate there. Now you go into the next tier, and you got J.J. McCarthy, you got Michael Penix, and you got Bo Nix. Who are you taking?
Penix, easy.
Okay.
Easy. The only reason Penix isn't higher, he should be top 10. It's injuries. That's it.
It is.
And injury history. And he didn't even have injuries the last 2 years. I mean, he had 2 solid seasons where he was a stud. It was just those first couple years and the significance of his injuries.
Well, he was playing.
He's being completely overlooked. I think he's going to be the one that everyone's like 3 years from now is going to be like, damn, we should have took the Penix.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You talked about it, right? Washington had the best O-line, at least award-winning wise, in college football. Mm-hmm. They kept him upright. They kept him clean. Penix didn't scramble a lot. They didn't face a really strong defensive front until they got to Michigan, and Michigan dominated them. What's this guy going to do in the NFL when that's not the case? What's he going to do when he's facing those blitzers? He's getting hit 14, 18 times a game real hard. I don't know about that durability. I mean, I would not go first-round grade on Michael Penix if I was a GM. But
and one of these guys that's too low on here, too, is, unfortunately, Roman Wilson. Man, I hate to say it, but, man, he's one you take. He's one of those. And you know where he would be good? At the Patriots. As a slot receiver at the Patriots, man.
Wow, they got it.
He would be outstanding. I mean, they don't have Brady anymore, but still. In that offense, in that system.
And they do have Jacoby Brissett, and everyone wants to laugh at that. I know his 1-win, 2-loss record and mentality, but the guy can sling the football still. He really can. You just go back last year and watch a couple of times he came into the game late. Terry McLaurin looked like the Terry McLaurin we all know and love because he was throwing the ball to him because Sam Howell couldn't get it anywhere near him. I like Roman Wilson a lot. Another guy on the list I know we didn't talk about last week, I really wanted to pick Mike's brain a little bit more on, Junior Colson, middle linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 101 tackles 2 years ago, at 95 last year. Really good in coverage, dominated. I look at a pick like that and I say, if you steal a guy like that in let's say in the 40s in the second round, I think that is an anchor. You can find a lot of good middle linebackers there as well. He's one. And even number 18, I have Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle, Michigan as well, too. He's kind of getting that round 3 grade, but I look at a guy like that, durable, consistent, I think could stay in the league for a long time. So those were two we didn't talk about last week that I think are going to be very good NFL contributors.
All right, we got to bring up the Rutgers, man. We got to bring up the Rutgers cornerback, Max Melton, brother.
We do. I got him 17. You're still seeing that third round.
Penix comes to mind.
I know, man. It's like the fourth time I've read it. I just keep reading it.
I'm going to bring it back. Penix is in his mind. He's got the Penix.
Wait, what was the Cleveland question? Because I can handle the Cleveland questions.
Here we go.
No, they just can't right now. You've got so much money tied into the cap. Obviously, they go after Jameis Winston. There's really no good play here unless you saw. If you see some kind of fall like Michael Penix, let's say maybe third round or even fifth round, which I think is highly unlikely, but it would only be due to medicals, they may take a flyer. But they really like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback from UCLA a couple years ago. So I really don't see a play in Cleveland with quarterback. But you were talking about Max Melton, third round grade, cornerback out of Rutgers. Again, you're seeing the premium on cornerbacks in the NFL. You need 3, you need 4. You're running a lot of nickel. You're running a lot of dime. You have to have at least 3 or 4 legitimate cornerbacks. And so I really think Max Melton's put himself up in a third round grade, and you're probably going to see him play quite a bit in nickel.
Yeah.
And then the last one we didn't. There was 2 we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. I like Michael Hall, defensive tackle, Ohio State.
Yeah,
I've really seen him rising up. I've actually seen him maybe get to the point where you're getting a second round grade, but maybe a third round grade. I absolutely love what he can do. I think I got him at 16 on my big board. And then Caleb Bullock's the safety from USC. Kid was a stud again. None of us paid attention when USC was on defense because they were giving up touchdowns so quickly. Really solid player. Got a third round grade on him. But tell me where I'm wrong, man. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I would push Mike Hall up a little bit, and I got the Penix up a little higher, and Roman Wilson. I mean, it's hard. That is where I go. I mean,
but who you drop?
I get. That's the tough part. But if I am one of those GMs, that's where I'm looking. I'm looking for a steal. Like you said, if the Penix falls and someone wants to take him third round, if he falls that far, he's got to go in the second round. There's no way. Were you watching that game? What's the score?
I thought we were going to have a buzzer beater, man. Indiana went up by 2 with 5 seconds left. Penn State had a wide open 3 and bricked it.
Missed it. Penn State's had a good season, good basketball season, man.
Yeah, they had a good team. But that's where you also look
All
into
right.
if you're saying I'm going to put some of these players up, tell me who you're dropping.
Yeah.
know?
Oh, and also Chomp Robinson. I think I put him up above the offensive line. That's my big one. I mean, you look at the show he put on, man, and that stuff that those numbers translate what he was doing. Man, he just put up ridiculous numbers in the NFL draft. It was crazy.
You mean combine, right? Yeah.
Combine? Yeah.
I think people get a little leery of
Let's
that.
go over that again. 4.49 here. We're in a 4.540, man. 250 pounds. I mean, coming off the edge. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I'll give you the perfect example, Courtney Brown. And I know I'm talking 2000. I know I'm going way back in the day.
Yeah.
He was a
But
combine.
he produced on the field, too.
In college, man.
At Penn State.
In college, man, the guy was a stud, freak athlete, blew every combine record off the charts. I mean, it was like a no-brainer, him falling number 2. Didn't do anything in the NFL.
All right, what do you got here? Jet Johnson.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. Sorry.
He's nowhere on draft boards. I don't know where he is, to be honest with you.
I need a school, man. I need a position, man. I need to dig into Jet Johnson a little bit, man. I'll be honest. He caught me off guard.
Yeah, give that a good old Google. Let's go.
Oh, Mississippi State. All right. Yeah, I'll be blunt, man. I'm not really up on my Mississippi State football. I haven't seen him.
You haven't been studying Mississippi State football? Come
I
on,
have not,
brother.
man. I have not. Although yeah.
Inside
All right.
linebacker
All right.
for Mississippi State. All right, fill
All
us
right.
in, brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what
What
do we need to know about him?
Why are we missing out on him? You tell us.
Yeah.
You came up with a man. I know nothing about him, to be honest with you. I do know now that he plays for Mississippi State. He's a Bulldog.
Okay.
All right, got nothing. Got nothing. Hey.
Yeah,
so,
man. You know what, man? I had a bio up there from Hail State.
So we're changing it. We need to get into this college football playoff shit, man. What is going on? What do you think about that? Going from 12 to 14 without even playing the damn games, and apparently they're doing the 3 automatic qualifiers from the Big Ten and the SEC, with 2 for the Big 12 and 2 for the ACC. I think automatic qualifiers are complete bullshit. Just go by the rankings, because that just sets you up for failure at some point. Someone's not going to get in, and everyone's going to complain because they didn't deserve it. Like this year. Say it was this year. I know that's not a perfect scenario, but Iowa would be getting in. Iowa does not deserve to be in the 12-team playoff. They obviously showed it.
Yeah, but you're also taking last year's Big Ten versus.
But it's also going to be like that. It could be a Big 12 team that doesn't deserve to be in.
Yeah, but they're only getting 2 automatic qualifiers. So.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. One of them could be an Iowa of this year.
Possibly, yeah. But, at the end of the day, you are going to have to expand these playoffs, right?
It doesn't matter. You can go, if the Big 12 deserves to get 3 in, they'll get 3 in just with the rankings. You go by the rankings. You don't have to worry about all this automatic qualifier bullshit. It's stupid. Yeah, 1 for each conference. Good. The winner. Take it and run. The rest of them they deserve to be there. They'll get in by ranking.
You're right. And if we went back historically and looked at most years and we said to ourselves, okay, you were doing a 14-team playoff.
Yes.
Is the Big Ten getting 3 teams in?
Yes.
Yeah. Is the SEC
Is
getting
the
3
SEC?
teams
Yes.
in?
At
Yeah.
least.
It's a status symbol. It's saying we deserve 3 because we play
fucking
rules.
bullshit is what it is. It's
Nah,
fucking bullshit.
You know
It's
what?
conference just trying to whip out their big dick and set it on the table.
Yeah, and they are, and they won. Congratulations. They should. And they should, because I'm not going to get into these arguments down the road with Oklahoma State and Utah and Colorado when you go 13-0 and you play a mediocre Big 12 schedule, and I got to look at Ohio State and you played Michigan, Penn State, Washington, Oregon, USC, or any combination there, an improved Nebraska, an improved Iowa. You tell me I have to play that schedule and I have 3 losses, but Oklahoma State
You get in
13-0.
and you get in based on rankings.
Yeah,
There has to be a schedule, a power ranking, if you will, strength of schedule component to this, because those schedules are not the same anymore, and they won't be.
I've looked at a few, and I have to really look at strength of schedule and get a better understanding of the formula that goes into it. Because there are
Absolutely.
times where I've seen I don't have these numbers off the top of my head, but I remember looking at Michigan's schedule one year when they played
And they do that.
when they played the cream puff non-conference schedule, right? I mean, nobody in the non-conference. They did have Ohio State and Penn State, but I don't think they had like Wisconsin or Iowa on there. It was just it was a couple really good games and a lot of nothing. And their strength of schedule was like 11th, and it just didn't make a lick of sense, man. So I'd have to get some better intel around that. I'm always going to be hesitant of rankings. I just am. I think the AP poll is garbage. I think preseason rankings are garbage. College football, when they start coming out in the first week in November and do the rankings, I put a little bit more credibility in that. I think they try to do the best they can with those rankings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of rankings. It's TV motivated.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to, as the Big Ten and the SEC, you're going to have to say to yourself, listen, we need to dominate this tournament. In reality, we probably need to have 4 teams each, to be honest with you. Two from the Big 12, 2 from the ACC, and 1 group at large. And really, that's
just
kind of
let the 12-team playoff go. I mean, it took them years to change from 4 to 12. Why are they all of a sudden allowed to just be like, yo, we want to go to 14 right the fuck away? Why did it take them like 6 years to change from 4 to 12?
Lawyers.
And now they're jumping the gun?
Money. I mean,
Why are they jumping the gun so quickly now? They should have done that a long time ago, too.
Well, they should have went.
Even though there were contracts. There's a contract now.
Yeah. It's this progression, though. If you go back to the 2013.
Let it play out. Let's see how 12 looks, though. Let's just see what it looks like.
Well, you still would. So I believe the 14 team would not come into play.
That's like, you know what? We should change the drinking age to 18. All right, well, you know what? We should change it to 17 because we already changed it to 18.
We should. But I digress. Not going to change a lot.
I mean, just let it play out and see what happens first. I mean, have some at least.
And I think you are. And again, even if they agreed to
have some statistics to back up your choices, some data points at least.
It's just at the end of the day, and I haven't seen the exact 14-team playoff, right? So I don't know. Is it like 2 teams get a bye and 12 teams play? I'm not exactly sure on that. It's just let's all be honest. This is what we've all been craving in December. Well,
we need it now because of bowl games.
The 3 seed versus the 14 seed, is much watch TV. I don't even know who that's going to be. It's must watch TV, and
absolutely.
And again, you and AJ both made the comment as we were doing our bowl predictions and going through spreads. It was a dumpster fire. Nobody was playing. Yeah. Nobody watched the bowls. Nobody knew where they were.
I did because
I did too, but I'm a degenerate. It's a little bit different. Yeah. And so what you've done is you've eliminated a lot of crappy bowls. You've expanded it. You're putting in a little bit of fodder for these bigger teams to play against. Let's be honest. When Iowa plays Alabama in Tuscaloosa, it's a warm-up game for Alabama. That's what it is.
All right. You can't be using words like fodder and then talk about Alabama in the same sentence. All right.
Iowa
if we have some Southern boys jump on here, they are going to be fucking lost, man. First of all, you're talking with all your teeth. Now you're going to use the word fodder. Come on, man.
Bring the Sunbelt guy back. I want to talk Sunbelt football, man. Come on. I want them to get an automatic qualifier. It's fun football. But I see the point. I think
check out their podcast, man, the Sunbelt Syndicate. Pretty damn good.
I love it. Check it out then. I'll check it out as well. I think whether it was you or AJ said it a few weeks ago, I think you're going to be getting yourself to a 16-team play. I think that's what they're trying to do. That's really where they're looking to expand the contracts.
I don't think so. If it has anything to do with the SEC and the Big Ten throwing their weight around, I think they stay right here because they want to have that leg up. You're not going to have the 3 qualifiers and the 2 qualifiers. Right now, they have everything perfect because their championship game means something. Because if you're playing for that, you're going to get in, right? And if you're the 3rd one in line, they might be able to get that second game, that 3 versus 4, to get a play-in game. And that game would be huge, man. A big money drawer.
It would be. And that's where if you look at that 14-team playoff with the 3 automatics from Big Ten and SEC, what you're really saying is the winner of that conference championship game, you're one of the 2 teams that gets a bye. So it could be a big deal. But I think what you really want to get to where college football is going is that 16 team, because what you really want is you want the game where the 16 beats the 1. That is your eyeballs. That's your money. That's your draw. That's your hope. And that's where they really, really, really want to get to is the underdog winning, because it changes the whole conversation. Until that happens, it doesn't.
Well, bro, I think that is a show. That is a wrap. We have been on here for an hour and 10 minutes. We got you 10 free fucking minutes, all right? Go have a good time. 10 free fucking minutes for a must, all right? Thank you, College Football Dogs, for helping us put this on. Next week, we're going to have to be back with some more March Madness bullshit, so bring it, all right, man? You're going to have to go take your regular trip to Vegas and bring us back some good stuff from the Bellagio, all right?
Yeah, well, we might have to look at a different day for that one because, once Thursday morning hits, it's like Christmas in Vegas, man. So
that's true. You might not make it out of your room, right?
Oh, no. It's you make it out of your room. You just stumble into a ballroom, or you get yourself a seat with 360 televisions, and it's the time of your life. I'll tell everybody, if you've never been to Vegas on the Thursday and Friday, the first week of March Madness, you absolutely must go. It is an unbelievable.
You could do a show from the room. We'd be cool with that.
I don't believe I would be in a state of mind to be able to adequately put on a show. That's actually not true. When we go, it's business, man. It's not fun, but
all business.
It's all business.
All right, y'all. We got to bring you something from the Dogs Media Network. Hey, they're taking care of us. They're putting this show on for us, and we have joined them. We are now official Football Writers Association of America. All right? So we get all the perks with that, and we're looking to get into games this year for free. Getting some credentials, brother. And the College Football Dogs are doing that for us. So we're going to get out of here, leave you with their commercial. Have a great rest of your weekend, and, well, a start to your weekend tomorrow. And God bless y'all. Take care. See you on the flip side. Until next time. Boom.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12-plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
We are out. Later, Big Ten backers.